Now, the thought of dying suddenly is not the most pleasant idea for any of us to entertain, but hopefully you've taken care of the important legal arrangements. What about the sentimental items you leave behind, though? Once upon a time, these were old photographs or postcards, letters or trinkets. But albums are often kept online these days. E-cards have taken over from postcards. Emails are the new letters, and so on and so forth. So if the worst happens unexpectedly, would your family know how to access them? Genevieve Carbery has been writing about this in the Irish Times this week. Genevieve, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
So what difficulties do families encounter?
Well, I suppose that when you think about it, for the services that you use to store the things you described, like the email, they're all online, and they're all these free services like Gmail, Yahoo, Facebook and Twitter. And a lot of these services, when you die, don't consider that the information belongs to your family. Rather, they consider that it belongs to them. So I suppose that leaves people with a problem, because you can, in a lot of cases, you can't just, say, contact Gmail and say, look, this is my father's email. Can I access it, please? They don't allow you to do that necessarily.
Which is strange. It's what you would assume would happen.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I suppose in part it's because a lot of people of the digital generation haven't died yet, so these policies aren't fully developed. But really, at the moment, it's very difficult to access it, and there's only one way around it, really, which is for somebody to leave behind their passwords, because otherwise it's really very difficult. There's cases in the US a few years ago where the family of a soldier who died in Iraq, they wanted to see his emails to see, to see what he'd been up to in the last few months of his life. And Yahoo, who have a policy of not allowing people access at all, they had to take Yahoo to court. Now, they eventually got access to the emails. But really, what family wants to have to go through a court case to access all these kind of things after something?
No, that would be very traumatic. Yeah. And even after the judgment was issued, did Yahoo change their policy?
No, they didn't. Their policy still remains that the account isn't transferable, and the contents, they just contents terminate on death, so nobody can access it.
Right, so while that one family had a successful case, every other family who wanted to get access would have to go through the same rigmarole in the courts.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I suppose people just have to really think about this, and
are other companies more accommodating, Genevieve?
A lot of companies aren't, but the policies are developing. Facebook allows families to memorialise an account. So this means that, okay, nobody can add stuff onto the account, which probably is a good thing. Nobody can pretend they're the person, because that would be really strange. But what they can do is they freeze the account. Anybody who you're friends with can see what's on your wall, and also they can post messages. And I think I've spoken to a psychologist who said it's a very healthy part of helping to mourn somebody, to leave messages, and it's also very helpful for the family to see, colleagues, work people they mightn't have known, saying what they liked about the person. So Facebook do have a policy in place that does accommodate people.
Yes, we've often seen it with people who die tragically, maybe in a car crash or some horrible event like that, where their friends and family leave the messages, and it nearly has a therapeutic effect for everybody involved.
Exactly.
How long do they leave them up there, though?
I think they, as far as I understand from speaking to Facebook, they keep it up. They don't take it down,
Right, so indefinitely it remains.
Yeah, but the family can also request to have a Facebook page taken down. If they don't want with Facebook, they can just have it taken down, so it's not there anymore if it's too upsetting for them. So that option is also available.
So these are the sentimental items. What about PayPal, for instance? What about where there is a monetary value to your online activity?
Well, PayPal do have a policy where they will close the account and issue a check upon, if the death is verified and, through the proper channels, the will or whatever. And so they will do that. And there's no problems with online banking, anything like that. That all operates as you would expect with any normal account. So there's no fears about that. But the problem, I suppose, is with something like PayPal. If your family don't even know you have a PayPal account, if you've been selling stuff on eBay and you could have €4,000 or something in your PayPal account, but your family don't know it exists, how can they apply to get the money back? So if people don't, leave any indication, because there's no paper record of this, so if they don't leave any indication that it's there, then the family wouldn't even know it exists and wouldn't know to apply for the money. So that
Yeah, that again is all coming back to the point you make about passwords, about leaving some record for those you trust and for those who need the information so they can access it.
That's right, and I suppose, I mean, it's not a very good idea either to just leave a list of passwords and usernames lying around the place, because when you're alive, that's very dangerous. And also, when you're dead, your will, the probate, becomes a public document eventually, so that's not a good idea. So really, people they have to come up with solutions themselves, such as leaving a password-protected or encrypted document somewhere with passwords and details on it, or even leaving a list in your will of these are the accounts I have, so the family can apply to get access to them if they want. Or else there's online services. One is called Entrusted, and they're US-based, but they do deal with Irish people, and they will encrypt all of your or safely store all of this information for you, and you can update it because people change their passwords a lot, and then on your death, this will be passed on to whoever you've nominated to pass the information on to. And really, these are workarounds, but I suppose the problem is that even though you may have the password, in a legal context, you're still not legally entitled to it. You're working around the policies of these companies, but you're still not actually legally entitled to the information. You're kind of doing it underhandedly as such. So policies do need to be developed by these companies, and I suppose they will as more people of a digital age die,
Yes, but it really raises an interesting question about the ownership of data. For instance, does the company claim ownership once a person passes away, or do they feel they are the owners once it is uploaded to their site? It really, there's no conformity in this case. I suppose you enter a contract with the company. You know the terms and conditions that we all skip over. Yes. We all just tick the box and go. Okay, get out of the way. I want to go to the next page. Yes, exactly. It depends on the company, and it's going to be a very controversial area. Some companies just say it's theirs on death. Others say, if you don't tick the right things with some companies, they can use your photographs in their advertising or that kind of thing. So it's really that's something people need to be aware of, and I suppose need to just educate themselves when they're not just presume that everything's going to be okay, but really kind of try and look into these things when they're using a service. What prompted you to research this in the first place, as a matter of interest? Just something that I thought about. I'm not a morbid type of person, but I suppose it's just something that I do. Everything I do is online. I use my calendar, my emails, everything that I do is online, and it's just something that I haven't really heard discussed. What will happen when you die? And I know in America they have a digital death day where they try and create awareness, but it's really something very small. It really hasn't gathered momentum. So it was really just something I had thought of, and something I thought people maybe needed to think a little bit. Yeah, it is something we need to think about. And another problem that I encountered was with old PCs. Now, this is really before internet, or at least when we were back in the dial-up age, so you kept most of your information on your hard disk, on your own desktop. But once computers get replaced, you tend to put them in a storage area. Then you come back to them and they're dead. How on earth do you lift all that data off a very old hard disk? And you might have photos and documents and sentimental items there as well. And just our whole attitude to data storage is maybe something we do need to think about. Yeah, but I suppose in that case, at least the data is physically yours, and it's physically there. It's physically present, and you can get. There are places you can go to get information off a hard drive. Go to a WizKids and pay a fortune and get it back. But at least the information is yours. Whereas the problem with these services is that they're not stored on your physical computer. They're stored by Gmail or Yahoo in some data center in America. So you have you can't even bring it to a WizKid. So that's really part of the problem. Where it was nearly easier in the old days when everything was just on your own PC. At least somebody could hack into it, and get it back for you. So Genevieve, it's certainly been an interesting discussion and given us all food for thought. Thank you very much for being generous with your time today. Thanks very much, Will. Genevieve Carbery, journalist with the Irish Times.